Hey guys, how the hell are you? Today we're gonna do an all-new unbiased gear review on this, the Seymour Duncan Palladium gain stage. So first of all, some specs on this unit. This is made in the USA by Seymour Duncan. We have top-mounted input, output, as well as a 9-volt to 18-volt DC jack. We have bass, mid-level, mid-frequency, treble, presence, level, gain, resonance, and boost knobs, as well as a boost switch and an on-off bypass switch for the unit itself. It is in a rather rugged metal enclosure, powder coated, and it honestly looks really cool. So this is something I've been curious about ever since it first came out several years back. It's definitely something where I've wanted to check this thing out. I've wanted to plug it in and see what it can do. And well, without further ado, let's just do that. Let's just plug right in, see what happens. For the purposes of the tone demo, we will of course be utilizing my very trustworthy frameless television model loaded with Seymour Duncan Alnico 2 Pros for those warm lows and those crisp clean highs. Something else that should be of note too, because on a few preamp videos, a few folks have said, well, why don't you run it in front of a clean channel? So we are going to do both this time for the tone demo. We're going to be running it straight into the effects return of the Dover DA50, and then we're going to turn around, bump it to the front of the amp, run it through a rather clean setting with all the knobs facing straight up, high noon, and we're going to see what that does. First, the clean sound. Right about there is when it gets to the level that we're kind of used to hearing from just going into the amp normally. A lot of low end on tap with this thing, like practically too much. On the power amp itself, the depth knob is straight up at noon. Presence is dimed because that's literally the only way I could get any sort of character out of this thing. frequency knob there for the mid is definitely a nice touch. I do like having the ability to sort of tailor the mid-range a little bit. Now running into the front of the Dover, all of the knobs are straight up at noon, bass, mid, treble, depth, and presence, so that you can hear how this sounds in front of a clean amp. This is the clean tone. So overall, my final thought, I'm not going to mince words. I thought this thing kind of sucked. I thought that it was just extremely, extremely lacking. I mean, it's one of those things where I tried out all of the settings that were kind of the sample settings that were on Seymour Duncan's website, and I really didn't even have any success with that. I've messed with the resonance and presence controls on the amp. I've used this through both the Dover as well as the KSR, fussing with both in terms of running it just through the effects loop return, running it straight into a clean channel with all the knobs straight up at noon, messing with the EQ settings to see if maybe that helped. And this thing was just a bear to get any sort of usable tone out of it. I mean, the tone that you heard in the demo song was kind of the only thing I really came up with. Just a sort of super ampy, almost orange-ish kind of tone to it. Not really as defined as I typically like, but something that is very, very suitable for more of like that sort of Spirit Adrift or Ghost kind of tones. Something that is very, very ampy, maybe not necessarily the most brutal high-gain molten metal tone, but definitely something suitable to those applications. More of like kind of a classic rock and metal tone in terms of like that sort of vibe. Probably the best way that I would describe this, when I was talking to the person who I bought this from, he and I were both kind of in agreement that it was just kind of characterless. It's just kind of nondescript. It doesn't really emulate a lot of the really kick-ass high-gain metal tones that we know and love. It doesn't really do the Marshall-y thing so much. It does the orange thing a little bit more than others. It definitely does not do the 5150 thing or the dual rectifier thing or any sort of permutation of any of those. It just has kind of a nondescript, non-enjoyable high-gain tone to it, for lack of a better description. And I don't know what else I can say about this. I just didn't really care for it at all. Your results may vary, but I mean, as you can kind of see from the demoing portion of this video, flipping the knobs every which way, trying it with the boost, trying it without the boost, just really didn't yield anything that was all that great. I mean, feel free to try it if you really think that you can do any better, but man, like, this was one of those things where, like, literally nothing that I've done with this thing in the past month or so has really been all that positive. But I hear what you're saying. Arnold, what are you drinking today? Surely that must be better than the pedal, right? Let's go to the beer fridge, let's grab some, let's find out. Today, from Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company, I am having Figaro, 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 which is a Belgian quad with figs. 11% alcohol by volume. This is something that I picked up recently at a local bottle shop. It looked kind of interesting. I'm always down for a really kick-ass quad. And something with figs mixed in, to me that just seems like something that would kind of go together like peas and carrots. So, let's check this out. See how it pours. Nice, rather light, coppery color almost, at least from this end. When you bring it over here, it looks a little bit more like a typical quad. It's kind of dark. Yeah, kind of just like a coppery, kind of orangish, goldish, coppery, yeah, coppery color. So anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at right there. Definitely getting a lot of apricot, fig, and plum notes in the aroma. Oh, man. And a lot of apricot, fig, and plum in the taste, too. A little bit of raisin loaf kind of flavor there, but a little more subtle than I'm typically used to getting from a really, really awesome Belgian-style quad. Usually there's a lot more bready kind of notes here, and here it's a little bit more of a bitterness to it, which is different. Usually that bread note is a little bit smoother. This one is a little bit more biting. A lot of alcohol bite. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's interesting. It's a little bit different from a lot of Belgian-style quads that I have, but it is really, really good. Figaro, 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 Figaro! From Buffalo Bayou Brewing Company. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel. There's tons more metal and guitar-oriented content to come. And as always, guys, please remember, take what you do seriously. Do not take yourselves too seriously.